Did you know that the average American household has over 300,000 items? From clothes to gadgets, it's easy to see how clutter takes over our lives. But here's the shocking part. The more stuff you own, the less happy you actually are. A study by Princeton University found that clutter in your environment can lower your focus, creativity, and even your mood. What if I told you that by owning fewer things, you could actually become richer, not just financially, but in every part of your life? That's the power of minimalism. It's not about living in an empty apartment or giving up everything you love. It's about getting rid of what doesn't add value, so you can focus on what really matters. In this video, we'll dive into how the cheaper your pleasures, the richer you'll be. You'll discover how clearing the clutter can free up your time and money, how to redefine luxury, and why focusing on experiences over things leads to more happiness. Stick around, because the more you understand the minimalist philosophy, the more you'll realize that the road to wealth isn't about buying more, it's about needing less. Chapter 1. The paradox of less. We often hear that more is better, right? But what if the opposite is true? What if the less you have, the richer you'll be, not just in your bank account, but in your overall quality of life? That's the core idea behind minimalism, a lifestyle that focuses on doing more with less. The first step to embracing this paradox is realizing that accumulating stuff costs more than just money. It costs your time, energy, and mental peace. According to the Journal of Consumer Research, the more material goods people own, the less they appreciate them, leading to a cycle of constant dissatisfaction. In contrast, minimalists often report feeling a greater sense of contentment. So, how does this work? When you buy fewer things, you have more money to invest in things that truly matter. Instead of spending hundreds on things you don't need, you start thinking about how your purchases can align with your values. Maybe you invest in experiences or skills that enrich your life in ways that a new phone can't. Take the example of vacations. The average American spends over $1,000 per year on impulse purchases, but what if that money went toward a weekend getaway to connect with loved ones or learn something new? Research shows that people who invest in experiences, rather than material items, report feeling more fulfilled. You'll find that simple pleasures can bring more lasting happiness than any store-bought luxury. Minimalism encourages you to rethink your relationship with money. Rather than seeing it as something to constantly spend, you begin to view it as a tool for freedom. In fact, a study by the minimalists found that people who live with less often feel more financially secure, because they don't rely on constant consumerism to define their happiness. When you start to declutter, you start seeing the bigger picture. Less stuff means more freedom. It frees up time, reduces stress, and opens doors to new possibilities. The trick is in realizing that your pleasures don't need to be expensive to be fulfilling. The less you need, the more you can focus on the things that truly bring joy into your life. Don't forget to subscribe to get more insights into minimalist living and how it can change your life. Chapter 2. Redefining luxury. It's not what you think. Luxury is often confused with extravagant spending. Think designer clothes, high-end gadgets, or five-star vacations. But real luxury isn't about the price tag. It's about the experiences and moments that bring true satisfaction. In fact, some of the wealthiest people in the world are living minimalist lives. Warren Buffett, for example, still lives in the same house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. His wealth isn't tied to the things he owns, but to the decisions he makes and the value he adds to the world. The more you live for experiences, the more luxury becomes a feeling, not a material possession. Minimalism allows you to challenge the conventional view of luxury. It's not about showing off your wealth with expensive things. It's about living a life where time and freedom are the true measures of success. According to the minimalists, minimalist living often leads to greater personal satisfaction because it creates more space for what truly matters. Want an example? Think of time spent on a lazy Sunday morning, sipping coffee in your favorite chair, watching the sun come up. This experience costs nothing but feels infinitely luxurious. By focusing on what truly enriches your life, luxury becomes a state of mind, not an item to purchase. The data backs this up. A study by Deloitte found that 72% of millennials prioritize experiences over material goods. People are starting to recognize that experiences bring lasting happiness, while possessions are temporary fixes. When you focus on living with less, you'll notice that what once seemed luxurious is now found in everyday moments. You'll enjoy a walk in nature, a meal with family, or even a quiet afternoon reading. The richness in life comes from these simple, genuine experiences, not from the things you own. Chapter 3. The hidden costs of cheap pleasures. It's easy to fall into the trap of buying things that seem like a good deal. Maybe it's that $5 coffee every morning or the quick impulse buy at checkout. While these small purchases don't seem significant at the time, they add up over time, and their hidden costs go beyond just money. Let's break it down. If you buy a $5 coffee every day for a year, that's $1,825. In 5 years, you've spent nearly $9,000 on coffee alone. And the worst part? You probably don't even remember the taste of most of those cups. Now, consider what that money could have been used for. Instead of mindlessly spending, imagine investing it in a course to learn a new skill or taking a vacation that will create lasting memories. Research from the University of Michigan shows that people who spend their money on experiences instead of material goods report higher levels of happiness and well-being. The hidden cost of cheap pleasures isn't just about the money you're spending. It's also about what you're missing out on. When you indulge in low-cost pleasures, you're not necessarily experiencing true enjoyment. Instead, you're engaging in a cycle of short-term satisfaction that leads to long-term dissatisfaction. What's more, these small, everyday indulgences contribute to a bigger problem: consumerism. As we accumulate more things, we begin to prioritize possessions over experiences, and this shift can create a sense of emptiness. A study by The Atlantic revealed that people who focus on acquiring more stuff often feel less satisfied with their lives because their desires become insatiable. So, how do you break the cycle? The key is to become more intentional about your choices. Instead of seeking out cheap pleasures, invest in things that bring lasting value. Whether it's a new hobby, a meaningful relationship, or financial freedom, minimalism allows you to focus on what truly matters. By rethinking the way you spend, you can reduce the number of distractions in your life and focus on experiences that bring you long-term happiness. Start small. Swap a daily coffee run for a home-brewed cup and redirect that money towards something that adds real value to your life. The result? You'll not only feel richer financially, but also emotionally. If you're enjoying this, hit the subscribe button for more tips on minimalist living and how it can lead to a richer, more fulfilling life. Chapter 4. The joy of uncluttering, financial and mental freedom. You've probably heard the phrase, less is more, but have you ever stopped to think about what it truly means? When it comes to your belongings, living with less can actually bring a lot more freedom. The less stuff you have, the more mental space and energy you create. A key strategy of minimalism is decluttering. It's not just about making your space look tidier, it's about clearing away the distractions that prevent you from focusing on what truly matters. A study from Princeton University showed that physical clutter actually decreases your brain's ability to focus and process information. When you declutter, your mind becomes clearer, and your ability to prioritize improves. But there's another benefit to getting rid of excess: financial freedom. If you stop accumulating things you don't need, you start saving money. The minimalists, who have written extensively about this lifestyle, found that minimalists spend less because they buy less. And when you buy less, you free up money to invest in experiences, self-improvement, and long-term goals. Uncluttering doesn't mean just throwing away things. It's about making intentional choices. For example, instead of buying that trendy gadget, invest your money in something more valuable, like a personal development course or a fitness program. Studies show that people who prioritize investing in themselves often report higher levels of happiness and long-term satisfaction. This strategy isn't just a personal benefit, it's also a way to build better habits for your future. When you start living with less, you learn to resist the urge to fill your life with unnecessary distractions. Over time, this becomes a habit, and you find that you need less to be happy. As Marie Kondo, a popular decluttering expert, says, the best way to find out what we really need is to get rid of what we don't. Chapter 5. Minimalist living. Maximum satisfaction. When you think about living a minimalist life, what comes to mind? For many, it's about living with fewer things. But it's also about embracing a new perspective on life, a perspective that says more possessions don't equal more happiness. One of the best ways to start this journey is to reflect on what brings you real satisfaction. A study from Harvard Business Review found that people who focus on buying experiences, like concerts, trips, or cooking classes, report higher levels of happiness than those who buy material goods. Experiences leave lasting memories, while things often lose their appeal over time. Minimalism isn't about depriving yourself. It's about focusing on what truly adds value to your life. For example, instead of splurging on the latest smartphone, you could invest in a cooking class or learn a new language. Experiences like these contribute to your personal growth, something that material items simply can't do. A key concept here is intentional living. Minimalists don't just buy things for the sake of it, they focus on making thoughtful purchases that align with their values. This mindset helps them avoid impulse buys, which can eat away at your finances without providing any real satisfaction. According to a study from Behavioral Science magazine, people who make intentional purchases are 38% more likely to be satisfied with their spending. Minimalism also encourages you to be more mindful. Instead of rushing to get the latest fashion trend, you start thinking about how your choices align with your long-term goals. This focus on the long-term rather than short-term desires is a central aspect of minimalist living, helping you avoid buyer's remorse and making you feel more in control of your life. A big part of maximizing satisfaction in a minimalist lifestyle is learning how to appreciate the small things. Instead of constantly seeking out new thrills or material goods, you start to savor moments that often go unnoticed. A quiet evening with a book or a walk through the park might just become your new form of luxury. Chapter 6. The richness of time. Spend it wisely in our busy, fast-paced world. Time is the one thing we can't get back. So why do we waste it chasing after things that don't bring us real joy? One of the most powerful aspects of minimalism is its ability to free up time that you can use for personal growth, relationships, and experiences that bring true fulfillment. In fact, research shows that people who adopt a minimalist lifestyle often experience a greater sense of time freedom. The minimalists have found that when you declutter your life, you make more room for meaningful activities. Instead of spending hours cleaning, organizing, or managing a pile of possessions, you're free to focus on what really matters. The key strategy here is to simplify your commitments. Instead of saying yes to every social event or work obligation, start saying no to things that drain your energy or don't align with your values. A study by Deloitte found that people who prioritize their time over their money report higher levels of satisfaction and overall well-being. One of the first steps to reclaiming your time is to stop overcommitting. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle culture, constantly running from one obligation to the next. But when you stop and take stock of how you're spending your time, you might be surprised to find that you have more than enough time to invest in things you truly care about. Time is also a key ingredient in creating meaningful experiences. Whether it's spending time with family, traveling to new places, or simply enjoying a hobby, the richness of life often comes down to how we spend our time. Research from Psychology Today shows that people who engage in activities they love, rather than simply filling their time with chores or work, are more likely to report higher happiness levels. Subscribe now and keep up with more life-changing tips on living a minimalist lifestyle. You'll learn how to create more time, save more money, and live a richer, more fulfilling life with less.